Year one is going to be food. I go into a new farm not expecting to shoot a mature buck. I just plan it. If there's one on there, that's awesome. Sometimes there is, sometimes there is not. So I want food there so I can start protecting the deer, the young deer. I want to shoot mature deer, and like you said in this example, the goal is 4 or 5 year olds. Okay, so I want to protect. Therefore, I want to protect the 2 and 3 year olds, or whatever, maybe even one. We're not in Michigan, though, so we don't have to protect the 1 year olds in Illinois, hopefully. But the 2 and 3 year olds, I want to protect those. So I want food there. So when the guns are going off and my neighbors are being maniacs, if they were, then I have things on my farm that hold them there. The amount of travel they do when they have great bedding and food next to it and they're not disturbed, the amount of travel is very minimal. Very minimal if you don't disturb them. Second, you say, hey, there's no food there, or the cover is not ideal. Now their travel gets a lot bigger. They have a far bigger range. So what I want to do with 50 acres, if every deer on there had a range like this, it was whatever it was, just half mile. I want to make it shrink down, whatever that is. I just want it shrunk down. A lot of deer, a handful of deer. You're not going to protect all of them. So you are going to lose some bucks. But I just want to know like a handful will stay on my farm during daylight hours and get lucky enough. And they're survival machines. These deer are not that stupid, especially when they get to 3 and 4. They know how to survive pretty effectively. And if you put the odds in their favor by leaving food on your farm and they feel safe there and they have small travel areas, the chances of them going to the neighbor are just diminished substantially. So food is key, and diverse food is key. And food during archery, gun, late muzzleloader season to keep them safe is key, because I don't want them going to other places where they're going to get shot. So I'm trying to save those bucks. So therefore, the first year, hey, I don't have a mature buck to hunt, but year 2 and year 3, I definitely will. So that's why I'm doing food, and I'm doing it for nutritional reasons. I want the deer to have optimal nutrition, stuff like that. But I would say it's mainly, year one, it's mainly a safety reason and starting to build that farm up. And a lot of times with a 50-acre farm, if I bought a 50-acre farm, a lot of times it'd be like, yeah, for the last 10 years, 20 guys would show up here and they just shot everything out of here. So now it's kind of like, I got to rebuild it. Well, how do you rebuild it? You rebuild it by fixing the habitat and fixing the food and keeping them safe. And unfortunately not letting 20 guys go through there and shoot everything.
Right.
So food is key first year.
Are you taking out the 5 acres FSA tillable to put in food? Or are you trying to carve it out of that other growth that maybe you could put into a plot?
It's being left in food.
Okay.
It is. Now, the only reason it's not being left in food is like, hey man, I'm at home eating ramen noodles. I don't have enough money to put gas in my car. Okay. But then you shouldn't be owning 50 acres.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. So 5 acres, hey, I can get a farmer to pay me. And most farmers are going to be like, dude, I don't want to mess with 5 acres.
Right.
And they're usually doing it for a favor. And usually, because I farm and I know what 5 acres looks like, usually they're like, deer ate all my edges anyway. And they don't really want to farm it, so just maximize it for food. Mm-hmm. I would. Your farm's going to be vastly better off for it. I mean, for hunting reasons, hey, I bought this 50 for hunting. Then absolutely, no doubt in my mind, utilize that 5 acres for food. And it is not about money at this point. And, that's why me buying that 50 acres, it's not about money. Otherwise, if it was about money, I just would have bought a tillable piece. I wouldn't have bought those trees, the timber. Dose it all out. Farm the timber then if it's just about money.
Sure.
It's not about money. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's an answer for me, but I would suspect most people would look at it like this who are watching this like, yeah, this isn't about money. This is about my enjoyment. This is about an asset that I have that's meant to be fun in the fall and rewarding in the fall. Then yes, load that 5 acres with food. 100%. Diverse choices.
Diverse choices of food. Okay, so we have
with a grain.
With
a grain if it's 5 acres.
So would 3 acres of that be grain and 2 acres be that other 80-20 mix? Or 80 or
yes.
20-40
I'd say that'd be a very good example. And then if 3 acres of it are grain, I would say if you have a medium to high deer density, you're probably looking at an electric fence. You probably are. You could try it without it. And if you're going to try it without it, I would do soybeans just because your input costs are so much lower. And if you try soybeans and they fail, and I suppose corn too, but soybeans are easier. If your soybeans fail, you still have backup plans because you're planting your soybeans in whatever, let's just say May. And you're like, oh my goodness, it's July. They ate them to the dirt. And I've had this many times. I'll just make them really big. No, they still ate them to the dirt. That's why I just fence them now. I just would. And you got clover next to it and all these other things too that you're like, okay, so they're still getting nutrition. They're not eating the beans, but they still have other things for nutritional reasons. But the fence is not expensive. It's pretty easy to do. And
you're doing
and then they won't eat into the dirt.
Fence?
Yeah, and I've experimented. I'm not an expert with these fences at all, but I've experimented where I'm like, okay, I'll raise them up higher, so I'll do like 3 strands, and one will get to like, I think last year I tried like 5 or 6 feet, and then I had the exterior one where it was 1 strand, or maybe I did 2, so it was 2 layers. And then I left a few of them last year where I did not electrify them just to see if it'd work, and it worked. They didn't jump it.
Okay, so it was just enough deterrence without them being hot.
Yeah, and somebody's going to be like, he said don't electrify it, and they're not, and they're going to have deer all over. So don't hold me liable here. It's just, this was 1 year experiment of not electrifying it, and it did work. But I also made the wires higher, added more. It's just 1 year experiment.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, I've had them eat into the dirt, but again, I'll just finish that statement off. If they eat them to the dirt, you still have so many backup plans because now you can plant. It's a clean area to go put brassicas in. And then it's a clean area to go add a rye mix later. And any grain field I have, any one that has to do with hunting, you know, if I'm like, hey, I planted an 80-acre cornfield, and I want to leave a little bit for the deer, a little bit, like I'll have a patch. I'll go along the edges and be like, okay, the coons, it's usually the coons, will destroy the edges, and then I'll just bring my drill, and I'll just drill right over that corn. Or spread stuff right over it. And so and it's just a bare stalk. There's no value to it, right? There's no food. So then I just walk through there and seed over it with my red bag spreader, which is fantastic, like rye or brassicas, whatever you want. And anything where it is ravaged for a crop, and soybeans the same way. Like, hey, my first 10 rows, just they're eating to the dirt. Then I just run the drill over there or spread things with my bag seeder, because I want to utilize every square inch of that plot.
Hope you guys enjoyed this. My name is Jake Hofer, and I'm a real estate agent out of the state of Illinois, and it's my goal to help 100 people buy their first farm. Been doing that with the Land Podcast and clips like this every single Thursday and Saturday that are released here on the channel. And to be one of those 100 people, all you have to do is, if you're in the state of Illinois and I can help you, I'd be happy to do so. Number 2, if you want to get connected with someone that can help you, reach out, and I'll be happy to get you in contact with an agent that I would personally do business with. And the last one is, if you just simply learn something from the content we're putting out, or you get inspired to take action, I want to know, get you out of that spreadsheet. I'm on a mission to help 100 people. Until next time, see ya.